Rye Lane is a film that I saw earlier this year, and it was directed by Raine Allan Miller. Raine actually comes from a background of directing adverts for big brands such as Nike and Virgin. I actually really want to look at a particular character called Dom in the film, and I think he actually has a really interesting character arc, and I think it's something that Raine's pulled off really well, and I really want to pull apart and analyze how she's done this using her filmmaking skills. With that all being said, I just want to jump in and see how Raine opens her film. I'm actually really excited to see this for the second time. Oh god. Oh yeah, I remember this now. I remember. Oh, this is so good. There's already so much to talk about when this first shot ends. Nice. Okay, let's break this one down. So it's actually a really cool creative way to open your film like this. So having that aerial dolly going along the cubicles like that is really unorthodox. I think most directors would place the camera outside of Dom's cubicles right there at the end. So why is Raine here, having the camera go over everyone? So in my opinion, really, it opens the world of Rye Lane. We're getting a look at every different characters that are in this world, from the vivid colours to every little cubicle there is different and unique, having something going on that's personal to them. Even the tiling of the floors are different. And yet our attention is really drawn at the very end with our main character Dom being in this cubicle by himself. He's in this very dimly lit cubicle, and our attention is immediately drawn because it's it contrasts the rest of those cubicles. And really, it's this opening to this film is very unlike most rom-coms I see that are set in the UK or British rom-coms. Most British rom-coms have this very slow introduction. Think of stuff like About Time by Richard Curtis, and how that film opens with the main character is delivering exposition on his family. We get a very slow introduction to the world of that character, and that fits that nice story well.
My mum was lovely, but not like other mums. Dad, well, he was more normal.
So why has Raine decided to have this very dramatic opening? So it gets us right into the narrative, and having that strong start really grabs our attention. Having Dom already placed in an unusual place, and I guess that fits the character quite well. So already the director here has gone, okay, let's pack so much story into one shot. Let me show you the world that I'm trying to build. Let me show you the character and where he is physically and emotionally. And let me show you how I can be different from other directors. So that is, a fantastic way to start your narrative. And yeah, really, this is the breakdown, the start of Dom. The writers really wanted to show him at his bottom, his worst. Already, without any dialogue, we already know that he's in a breakup and he's been cheated on. And it's kind of the start of building an unconfident male, which we often see in romantic comedies. Oh, this is a really cool shot. Okay, so this is actually, although it seems really small, that is a very good example of Raine storyboarding her film. Character start from an extreme close-up, go into that medium shot, and then Dom appear on the far left side of the screen. And that's just a really good example of Raine understanding the rule of thirds. And she's just managed to do that so simply in about a 2-second shot. All right, so actually let's talk about Dom for a second, because I said I was going to talk about him. He is something that we see often in rom-coms. He is the example of an unconfident male, and we often see this throughout romantic comedies. Hugh Grant is the king of playing that role.
I think the man. Oh
God!
So sorry. Do what I want. What's the daisies?
Qualities of being this non-dominant male that doesn't drive, the extreme motorcycle with the strap-up boots. They are often timid and approach situations that are hard for them. In this example, Dom is already showing signs of him being the unconfident male. Our first look at him really is showing us him crying on that toilet. His costume design really links to femininity. Just mentioned how he's going to do Pilates, which is something we often associate with women.
Everything's wicked. Yeah, I started Pilates
Is it?
Yeah.
His performance here is also, alludes to that idea by having stumbling over his words and using a lot of ums and buts.
I was about to dip, go mingle with some of these sockless wonders.
So I actually really like the shot here, and it's a really good example of the director working with this actor. Look how he's backing off out of focus and then goes into focus. He understands how to position himself so well effectively with the frame. The way that he uses his hands, he understands how close he needs to be and how far away he needs to be. It's just really a good example of this actor really knowing how to use the frame effectively. Even leaving the frame, he does it in such a comedic way, which is just so good.
You went to brunch at our flat. Seriously, there's nothing sacred anymore. Fuck! You cool?
So how does Raine really showcase this emotional outburst? Because it's important for Dom's character arc. Really good soundtrack to, build up that emotion. She's used fast editing between the two singles, between the two characters. And the performance here really gives that payoff. If that wasn't there, it wouldn't appear as genuine as it is. So all those different elements in combination shows good direction from Raine. So yeah, that's actually a really good example of the Kuleshov effect. Before, Yaz saw Dom's pink high tops from the bathroom, and now that she's recognized them using good editing filmmaking techniques, without any dialogue, we can see Yaz pick up on this. It's actually really interesting how Raine has decided to use this, as she's using new, fresh, modern filmmaking techniques in combination with some old established ones. And I think that is something that we'll see going forward throughout this film. Okay, so let's talk about the use of this fisheye lens, or the ultra-wide lens as it's actually known as. On the surface, really, you get this feeling that Raine wants you to look at the environment, to look at Rye Lane, and look at all the characters that she's producing, from their unique costume designs and background and your environment into frame. However, in my opinion, I think it does so much more as a filmmaker. So look at Richard Curtis and how he looks at London. He uses very traditional filmmaking techniques that present his stories in a very easy to understand way for the audience. Raine is actually presenting London in a completely new way, which I haven't seen in any British rom-com ever. It's really clear that Raine wants to have a distinct style and visual look to her films. She is dividing herself away from traditional rom-coms and creating this own look that is unique to her. So when you look at any frame of this film, I think it's very clear that you would go, oh, that's Rye Lane. So by doing this, it really puts it into its own new category of making your film look so unique. As someone who's worked on, smaller sets, background actors are something that we look at, but not are the most important. However, Raine has shown that she actually really cares on what is in her background, particular characters and particular costumes. It shows her real attention to detail. It's actually really interesting how Raine has decided to use this, as she's using new, fresh, modern filmmaking techniques in combination with some old established ones.
So she broke up with you, I know that much already.
Actually, it's still pretty hard to talk about the deal.
Oh, okay, sorry, we don't
The
actually.
bit that really hurts, I thought we were fine. We were better than fun. We moved in together, but we had Hamilton tickets.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Commitment.
We were going to the cinema.
Oh, I forgot about that. That is such a smooth transition into the next scene. And it proves that Raine is just a master filmmaker and director. So why have that transition there? So look at the way that the use of editing and sound was used just then to keep the momentum going of Dom's story.
I get there first, as usual, and I go...
Imagine if that wasn't there, we would kind of, as an audience, lose our attention. And suddenly we are now invested in the story with Dom and Yaz. So although it seems small and simple, the use of cropping that frame to the phone and distorting the sound to make it sound like it's from a phone actually keeps us, again, immersed in the storytelling from Dom. If that wasn't there, we would kind of feel disjointed from the storytelling. Okay, so let's actually talk about this flashback or story from Dom and what it actually does, which is so cool to add to Dom's character arc. This actual flashback here is actually really interesting to see because it does something different, which only Raine has done so uniquely here. A very easy way of doing this is by showing a flashback. In films, we often see a date shown on screen, changing the shutter speed of an image, or making the whole image black and white to indicate that it's something that's taken place in the past. However, in this instance, it does something completely different. Rye Lane kind of ignores all those different filmmaking conventions. So having Dom and Yaz physically present in Dom's story really gives us a sense of comedic and narrative storytelling. Having Yaz react to Dom's pain just adds to Yaz's understanding a bit more about Dom. Having Dom being shut off from, looking at it kind of adds how he feels about the story. Performances here are necessary to add to the narrative. If Dom was just telling this story to Yaz, it wouldn't have the same effect. We wouldn't get that comedy, nor would we get any sense of how Dom really feels. So I think this is just so genius of Raine and how she's thought about how to approach this flashback. Oh, okay, cool. So this is actually a really good example of Dom now understanding his lack of masculinity. This flashback really is something that stereotypical males have in rom-coms. So Dom obviously wanting to do this, but he knows as a character at that point he can't.
I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, and I forgot about this too. This is such a simple way of having this match cut, having Yaz's hand on Dom's shoulder in the story, but cut to them back in real life and Yaz's hand is still there. It's a good way of connecting both scenes together and a really good narrative way of showing Yaz understanding Dom.
Babe, that outfit, 10s across the board. Thank you so much.
You know her?
Man, she looks fire, innit?
Cool kicks. What?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep.
Really shows a cool way of just showing how different Dom and Yaz are, how they interact with the world.
Well, in that case, I'll learn it.
Okay, so let's talk when you say it.
I do remember this bit. This is cool.
You trust me? You know it.
So, Love Actually, a cameo with Colin Firth. Obviously being a reference to Love Actually and Colin being in...
Yes, Colin, we'll have...
Oh, he's actually called Colin. So let's sort of break down this cameo and why is it so important to the film. It's supposed to remind us of Richard Curtis's film that was set in London, Love Actually. So on the surface, it's it can be seen as a nice nod. This is actually Raine going, look how different my film is compared to other rom-coms set in London. She knows she's going to be compared to them. She's just kind of getting ahead of the curve, really, and just going, look how visually different and cool and fresh and modern my film is. And really, I think it's a nice way of using a cameo, which we don't often see in films. They're often there as just, a nice nod or a little laugh. However, Raine's really done something unique here, which is so cool. It's a good example of Raine really looking at a traditional filmmaking technique or film language, and she's gone, okay, I'm just going to put my own new, fresh spin on it.
Okay, fine. We broke up because of a Tribe Called Quest. Oh, fuck. Hey, babe.
So let's look at this backstory now from Yaz. So I actually think it links back to Dom's flashback / story. And I think it's actually really important to understanding how Dom's character works and something that Raine does effectively in this film. So we see Dom on this balcony overlooking Yaz's story.
Wait. Jules, Nathan's mate.
But yeah, him.
Working on something new. I will take some of that hummus on the cracker.
Please tell me you dumped his ass right.
We get a crowd of Dom in some kind of theatre, I guess. And each Dom is different. They show different emotions, different reactions, and they are all sort of reacting to Yaz's story. And in my opinion, I think we're actually seeing this from Dom's perspective. That crowd of Dom really representing his inner emotions and feelings, and the personification of that is really Dom on that balcony. Dom actually is acknowledging that crowd. It's a blink and you miss it moment, but he actually reacts and looks towards the crowd of himself.
Nope. I took a big...
All these shots really are showing Dom's point of view that blue hue color is something we saw in Dom's flashback. So yeah, this is just such cool details that make up Dom's character, and it's so well crafted.
That's mine, in case anyone wondering.
So yeah, it's really interesting because the color blue is something we often associate with masculine males. Now Dom's wearing full blue. His phone screen is blue. His flashbacks with blue lighting. Even though we saw that cowboy earlier, he was wearing that full outfit, and cowboys often associate with masculinities, and he was wearing full blue. So I really think Raine has a particular color choice when she wants to represent males. Very recurring theme, which I don't think is by accident. But yeah, I really love the character of Dom. The mannerisms that he has in the beginning of his performance show real weakness and unconfidence, but now towards the end of the film, he doesn't show any of that. He shows signs of strength and confidence.
Come down and meet me. Please?
Come on, think you were cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Raine here really sticking to creating something new and different. She really is taking inspiration from films like Before Sunrise, a heavy dialogue film that uses very traditional filmmaking methods. But she also uses examples of like Manhattan from Woody Allen, and how she uses the architecture and the background and the city to build characters. So the combination of all those elements and her fresh paint of coat really adds to a new, unique film that represents London, which I've never seen before. So yeah, I really wanted to highlight the character of Dom because I think he's really important to how Raine is using those new techniques. She uses them really effectively on Dom in particular. The performer really collaborating with director here and understanding the script so well has this effect on the audience. And I think Raine's understanding of rom-com is shown here because Dom's character is stereotypical of genre conventions, but using her own style, she's given the character, elevated his emotions. And Raine really pulled off one of the best films of the year in the way that it uses its background, its lenses, its characters, its direction. So if you like this video, subscribe and I'll be doing some more reactions. So thank you for watching. Cheers.